Hey there, this is a video for my MIAP grade 10s. This is me going through and making the answer key to the 7.4, 7.5 with fractions ACC. If you check the answer key that I'm just about to make here and you got all the right answers, you don't really need to watch this video, but if you're stumped with these, then by all means pay attention and I'll show you how I do them. I'm not saying this is the only way to do these questions, but this is, I have a lot of experience doing this, and I have an efficiency to the way I do it. Like, for example, I'm just looking through here and thinking, okay, if I have to do this by substitution, I kind of need either x or y to just have a 1. So I'm going to actually multiply the entire equation here by 2. Actually, I could even multiply it by -2, but I've already said 2, so I'll do 2. And that makes it negative x plus 2y equals 1, because when you multiply 2 by a half, the denominator cancels that 2, and if you multiply a half by 2, you get 1. So now I'm going to rearrange again here, and I'm going to add x to both sides of the equation and minus 1 from both sides of the equation, so that 2y minus 1 is equal to x. That's my substitution, but you know what? I'm not going to substitute just yet. I don't really want to work with these fractions either. So I'm going to multiply both sides of this equation by 4. And I've turned that equation now into 3x plus 3y equals negative 12. Now I'll substitute. So now x is 2y minus 1. So I'm going to replace the x with 2y minus 1. And that's going to be 6y minus 6. 3 times 1 is not 6. 6y minus 3 plus 3y equals negative 12. 6y's and 3y's is 9y's. Minus 3 is negative 12. Then I'm going to add 3 to both sides of the equation, so 9y equals negative 9, sorry. And then y is equal to negative 1 as the solution. I can find my x value by plugging negative 1 in right there. So 2 times negative 1 minus 1 is x. That's negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So there we go. I have negative 3, negative 1. For the solution, I'll do a quick check. Doesn't say that I have to in the instructions, but I might as well. Okay, since I used this equation, I'll use that one. So negative 1/2 of negative 3 plus negative 1 should equal 1/2. A negative times a negative is a positive, and a half of 3 is 3/2. And I can just write that as minus 1. And think of 1, if you like, as 2/2. And as you can see, 3/2 minus 2/2 is 1/2. So yep, that is the right answer. Okay, this one they tell me I have to do by elimination. So now I'm thinking I need these to cancel somehow. 15 is a pretty big number, so I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to just times both sides of this equation by 15, because 15 is the common denominator of 5, 15, and 3. So if I've times this whole equation by 15, I'm going to get 3x, because 5 goes into 15 3 times, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then the 15 cancels that 15, so I still have 1y. And then 3 goes into 15 5 times, so I have negative 1 times 5 on the other side. Now, let's think about this one. I need to eliminate something, so I want to make, you know what, I'm going to make this, I was going to say I was going to make this y a 1, but then that would leave this as a half, and I don't really want to do that. So you know what I'm actually going to multiply by? I'm going to multiply this thing by negative 12. If you're wondering why did I pick negative 12, well, you'll see why in a second. Negative 12 times 1/4 is negative 3, because 4 goes into 12 3 times. And then negative 12 times negative 1/2 is plus 6y. And negative 12 times negative 1 is plus 12. Do you see now why I chose negative 12? Because now I can just add those equations together, and look at how easy that was. And then 12 minus 5 is 7, so y is equal to 1. I'll pick the easier equation with the smaller fractions. So 1/4 of x minus 1/2 of 1 is equal to negative 1. So that's 1/4 of x, and then 1/2 times 1 is minus 1/2. Okay, I'm going to add 1/2 to both sides. Negative 1 plus 1/2 is negative 1/2. And then I'm dividing. I can do this two ways. I can divide both sides by 1/4, which is the same as timesing by 4. So I could just think of it as I want to cancel that denominator and leave a 1, so I'll times both sides by 4. Either way, 1/4 goes into 1/2 exactly twice, or 4 times 1/2 is 2, and there's a negative on it. So my answer is negative 2, 1. Again, I'll do a check I'll pick the ugly one since I used that one. So 1/5 of -2 plus 1/15 of 1 is equal to -1/3. Okay, so -2 times a fifth is -2/5. 1 times 1/15 is a 15th, and that has to be equal -1/3. The common denominator here is 15, so that's -6/15 plus 1/15. And -6 plus 1 is -5. And yes, those two fractions do equal each other because 15 and 5 are both divisible by 3. So I have the right answer. Check. There's people who have already kind of messaged me and said, I'm really struggling with these because I'm just not very good at fractions. Well, that's something you're going to have to work on if you want to stay in the pre-calculus program, and if you see yourself as somebody doing first-year university math, they will not let you have a calculator for anything. And unless you're in an applied math class or a math for the sciences like a physics, they don't want decimals. You are going to have to learn how to handle fractions. So here's a good place to start. Play with these fractions and get your homework done, and thanks for watching.